Okay, I hear you. Rocks. And I realized at the beginning, in the essential core of the quest, is the smallest and the simplest. So, let's make sure that we're accomplishing that. It's the end of August. Northern California's fire smoke has drifted down, even though ours near here have cleared out. And the first detail I see looks a lot like a horse jaw. It's kind of tall for a cow and kind of skinny. That's awesome. I think we'll bring that home for sure. Every good barn needs a horse jaw, right? So anyhow, that was the ramble at the beginning. And we're going to look for some rocks. Wow, look right there. That is some globular looking. It's got iron rust on the outside of it, but it's actually green and globby. So here's your goal. I think the way to exercise rock hounding is that it's a game of beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So each person in the world, look at the frog. Each person in the world thinks things are pretty, beautiful, awesome, cool for different reasons. And so that's the goal. Go out, get yourself a rock bed. I want you to open your mind. I want you to expand yourself to finding the beautiful things. That was the whole point in the quest. That's how I can... There's so much negative stuff going on in my world, everybody's world. I started this channel, I was going to do half documentaries on all of that and half documentaries on all of this good stuff. And my gut and my heart said, why don't we just start with only good and leave the negativity out? Not to paint the world like that, but to feed the good wolf. And that's what I'm trying to do internally and externally. I'm trying to feed the good wolf, you know. Starve out the bad part of everything by just not feeding it, not paying attention to it, not paying heed to it. So that's the goal. And that, you know, you can stretch your brain out to do that by walking out anywhere in the planet, in the universe, and trying to find what is beautiful to you instead of driving to work looking at all of the things that irritated me that they were doing to the world and to the landscape and to my fellow humans and animals. And I started this and it became a quest to pick out the most coolest, beautiful, best parts of our world, to share those details. And it's keeping me a little bit more sane. So I hope it helps. And this is how you do it. This is how you stretch it out. This is how you flex those muscles. What is beautiful to me? And then focus on that. There's a few big bullfrogs in this little pond of water. I'd say they're all. And the quail. And the fish. See the fish in the pool? We should be getting an August rain though, and things can turn around here and the springs are seeping in. But if you hear quail and you're at the only watering hole, you are also where all of the prey comes. This is the base of life, and then all the food chain will revolve around it. So it's important to be aware of that. Look at that big old clam down there. What a biodiverse little pond. Do you see that? Under the water. Huge clam. And there's literally a swirl of trout. I know the glare's kind of bad. But they are in there. I don't know if you see the shadows. And then the frogs and turtles just filled the bottom. And we're talking, these are not large bullfrogs. The large bullfrog should fill a dinner plate. That's what we had in the world before pollution started wiping them out. But for these days, that one's a good pint-sized frog. That's pretty big. It's just a chalky stone, but I like all the little thin veins going through it. Miniature vein work of quartz. Oh. Who doesn't appreciate the pure white quartz chunks? You know, I could fill my yard with those. Plus, if you believe in magic and energy and stuff, you know, if you line all your walkways and all your power points and cool spots and plants that you want to live and do well in your yard with quartz, you know, that's how our microprocessors work, right? Little chunks of crystal all sliced up and running the world. So you never know how much heed to pay to the power of crystals. You know, I personally believe there's a lot of energy going around that we do not understand, see, or control. So I like to put them around by all the plants that I like, and to line walkways, like I said. I feel like I'm putting up little force fields and power lines and stuff, hooking up the circuitry. I like the transfer from rosy to green quartz. So, you know, a green mineral has seeped into this, and a mineral that causes that to turn red has seeped into that part, and then it broke, and you just end up with both. This is that good gold quartz too. You see how it's got the shale reflective rock all mixed in with it. It's got lots of fissures and seams and stuff for minerals to work down into. Now that one, I know that's a little steep. Quartz, if a Native American makes a tool out of quartz, it generally for me has to look like a spear tip, or I can't decide, because it doesn't have the conchoidal, the round chips that come out of it. So it's hard to tell, but man, that's a pretty chunk. It's pretty thin right there. I don't know. Well, it means we can bring it home because it's a rock. Awesome. Here's a good example of serpentine. Okay, new spot. Looking for some rocks. Never been here before, but I am going to a bridge and I'm using that to access the river. Because no things following me through the bushes. It's kind of creepy. Okay. Or look for whatever there is to see. I thought I'd spy gravel. And it's a good way to explore too. Oop. And then you find places like this. There very well be a house site. Okay. Yep, there's our vinca. Got a flat spot along the river, vinca, and gravel if I can find a way down. Oh, you know there's a way down. Look at that. Just jump it. Oh, it's good to be tall. Ooh, okay. This looks untouched. Awesome. Nope. Dew bottle. Hey, look at that. That's really kind of cool. Right? It's a good start. Really clear piece. What else do we see? I'm excited about that little ledge. We're just coming down here to walk the creek, to look for rocks and cool things. It's evening time, but I'm in the middle of the valley, so we don't have to worry about animals. We're surrounded by 1,000,000 miles of vineyards, which are pretty much barriers for a lot of creatures, and a lot of animals do not live here anymore because their fields and stuff are gone. That's cool there, Rock. That's a tufa, but it's got nice blue to it. Too big for me to carry out though. See it? Look at that. That's awesome. Do you see it? Haha. Super cool. See how deep the clay is? See how skinny it is? It's literally riff-rapped at a lot of spots where they put boulders. So these spots where it spits the gravel out, where it's wide enough to do that, are where it all goes. So you're looking at all the gravel, and this will be like down to clay a lot of the time. So, and that's the valley up there. That's a flat valley floor. So this is eaten down in. It's not escaping this channel just in its 1,000,000-year meander maybe, but yeah. So what I'm saying is this is a great chance for us to see everything. Okay, let's head back over to the first beach that we came down on. So I went by Petrified Forest Road today and a couple other sites, and I see all of the signs that say no trespassing. I'm going to go ahead and print up the rights for California public waterway usage, and then everyone will have it. And then there doesn't have to be all the fighting and the confusion and everything. Ooh, painted rock, look at that. A stained tufa. Bring that one home. Lots of layered rocks. But that's just the ash laid down in thin layers. And deceptively, it can look like petrified wood, but it just never has a branch or anything in it. Oh, did you just hiss at me? Guess it's just the leaves. That was spooky. It made my heart jump even if my body didn't. Whew. Okay. So I don't know if you're noticing, this one isn't necessarily a jammy beach. It's got a lot of minerals represented here. So it could be educational. It's very volcanic. A lot of sedimentary. And then metamorphic. But I guess that's almost everything, right? So that makes sense. Layer after layer of ash falling and falling and falling. So if you think about that, there was no organic between that around here at some point. It was just ash. It's crazy. And these cliffs can be, 30 feet, 40 feet high around here. Just layers of ash. And volcanic projectiles, things that flew out of it and got rounded, or have been rounded by the river. Oh, the beach here, that's crazy. I wish we had a little bit better light, but bear with me. Hey, that one's a little bit of kind of agate white quartz. Here's a cool shaped little chunk of obsidian. You can tell it hasn't been made like this by people, but it was shaped like that somehow, either by flying or falling. And the bubbles on the outside are from when it was molten, so that's its natural outside. But that one's kind of cool. Tending towards littler stones right now because my world is in flux. That's cool. And a little bit enough to where it's easier to collect small stones and set them around. But there was a point where I was hauling home the biggest stones I could find on every beach. So your priorities and your reasons for collecting change. Don't worry about it, just go with it. See the gravelly layers? And that, it's almost like a powdery jadeite. More blue though, if you can make that out. Okay, well. That was this beach. That was our tour of this beach. I guess we walked over that the first time. I don't know how. But that's probably the score of the beach. Look at that. I like that. I do. That's the keeper piece of pottery for the day. Goes in pocket. We're heading out of here. We gotta climb up to the old house site and stuff again. Okay. Every pocket is stuffed with some crazy thing.